Hi, I'm Stewart Lynch. This is the fifth in a series of 6 videos covering version control using Xcode with Git. In this episode, we're going to take a look at using terminal to create a .gitIgnore file that will cause Git to ignore certain files and not include them as part of the local or remote repository. I want to thank Ray Wenderlich of raywenderlich.com for the script and tips included in this video. I'll leave a link in the notes below. If this is something you want to learn, then keep watching. I said at the outset that I'd avoid terminal for the most part, but this is where it will come in handy. Xcode generates additional files that change with each build, and it's not important to save these here as Xcode can automatically regenerate them. In fact, saving them causes Git to do unnecessary work and makes it harder to find the significant changes in your commit history. The Mac also has files that, though they may be invisible to you, are not invisible to Git. Git provides a mechanism to ignore these files, the aptly named .gitIgnore file. The period at the beginning of the name causes macOS to treat it as a hidden file, so it doesn't normally appear when you look at your project in Xcode or Finder. Never fear though, because Git will find and use it without a problem. Rather than working out for yourself everything to put into your .gitIgnore file, you can visit gitignore.io and download one from there. Here you can specify what OS and programming language you are using and let it generate the file for you. So in our case, it's macOS and Swift. This generates the .gitignore file. However, if you always want to be up to date, Ray Wenderlich has provided a way to do this via terminal. So open terminal and type the following command. Now this is a one-time only command. You don't need to do this every time you create a project. The git config command is a convenience function that is used to set Git configuration values on a global or local project level. By issuing this command, you are creating a global shortcut or alias that will always get the most up-to-date .gitignore file that we will specify in the next steps for our projects. I'll make sure I include this script in the notes below. Now for every project using Git, you can do the following in terminal. First of all, with the terminal window open, type cd space and then drag your project window onto the terminal window. This will insert the path after the cd, the change directory path. Hit enter and it changes your directory to your project path. Now you need to issue the following 3 commands each time, pressing enter at the end of each line. Git ignore Swift, macOS greater than .gitignore. Hit enter. Git add .gitignore. Hit enter. And finally, git commit -m and then within quotes add.gitignore file. This downloads the most current .gitignore configuration for writing Swift code on macOS, and then adds the .gitignore file to your repository and commits it with the message that was in the last line. Note, it's a good idea to create and add .gitignore to your project as soon as you create it before you make any changes. If we return to our project folder and use our Command-Shift period command again to show invisible files, we'll see the .gitignore file now at the root level alongside the .git folder. I can open it with my text editor, and you may or may not notice, but the file is exactly the same as the one we generated from the gitignore.io site at the beginning of this video. Now, if you're really interested in exploring the command line commands for Git, there are lots of resources on the internet for that. I'll leave a link in the notes below to this site. This one, the Git Simple Guide, can help you get started, and they also provide you with a downloadable cheat sheet. In the final video in this series, we're going to look at the GitHub Desktop GUI application. I hope you've enjoyed this video and have learned something. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. That will encourage me to keep on creating more like this in an effort to help new and existing iOS developers hone their skills and move on to the next level. I am most active on Twitter, so be sure to follow me there and get all the latest news of what I'm up to.